Hey y'all, this is Tyler Blake with tylerblakeart.com again, and this is day 75 of my 100 days of making comics, which means that I'm approximately 75% of the way through the challenge. So this morning, I was doing some more inking on that awkward panel number 5, and that's, I don't know, even just inking it when it's that small, when I already have the main lines where I want them to be, is still pretty challenging. I'm not used to having to work that small. So that's an interesting challenge. Okay, so a while back I had promised to showcase my most embarrassing mistake on this comic. At first I wasn't going to do this, and I was talking to my friend Scott O'Green and he's also in the 100 Days of Making Comics community, and I actually know him in real life, and that was that played a big part in me finding out about 100 Days of Making Comics, because I buy art supplies from him. So, anyway, so a little bit of background. Okay, here we go. So the other day I was showing this Bowie knife here, and on the scabbard here, I'll take the knife out. This is a scabbard, for those of you who would be trying to draw something like this or look at it and go, that's the, holster, sheath, scabbard, whatever. So this is what's known as a throat, and this is a chape. And the purpose of the throat, so this particular scabbard is just leather, and then it has the throat and chape. Some of them might be wood covered in leather, just depending. But the idea is that if you do a draw cut, just in case it's really sharp and you are, you have adrenaline and all that, just in case you cut through the leather, you don't take your fingers off. So that's the throat. The chape down on the other end is so, let's say if you're riding your horse and you fall off and you land on top of this, that keeps the, I believe that's supposed to be so that just in case the point, if it was going to come through the end of the scabbard, it doesn't impale you. This just breaks your ribs instead. Yay. Okay, so on page 1, and everybody in this story is armed, and on page 1 we see a character running, looking behind him, and he's lost his sword. So he's got an empty scabbard and he's wearing it on a shoulder baldric. So it's, do this for illustration, it's, flying all over the place, because he's running and it's moving around. I wonder what the thumbnail options are going to come up as on this. So this looked totally normal when I was, I did the pencils and everything was fine. And then, so here's the first panel, here's the scabbard, there's the throat and the chape. And so coming up on panel 2 here, he stops to take a breather. He's obviously running away from someone. He's looking over his shoulder. He's lost his sword. He stops to take a breather. His baldric, his scabbard swings behind him, and I inked it. And then as soon as I inked it, I was like, no. So the observant viewer will kindly note that that looks pretty phallic, right? I had I let myself panic for a little while, and then I was like, how can I fix this? Actually, I was using, when I was starting to ink this, I was using my Kuretake brush pen, which does not have waterproof ink. The ink that comes with the Kuretake is not waterproof. So I went and grabbed my Dr. Martin's white ink, which is water-based, so as soon as I think it was right there on what is clearly a chape and nothing else, it started to bleed a little bit, and I'm like, I'm gonna have this huge blur down there. I can't do that. I know. So when I get done, so I had moved on from this, because I was, at the time I went back and did most of this background inking after that, because I was like, I need to move on and I'll come back to it. Because I had left the background pencils really loose at that point. But, so, when after I thought about it for a while, I'm like, okay, cobblestone street, the cobblestones will be black. So I can just ink, and you can kind of see where I was penciling in some brick lines on the street there. And that you might be able to see there's some perspective lines for that up here too. There will be black that will cover that, and it'll be fine. So, it looked totally normal, and as soon as I got done inking the last part of that, it was like, no. So, yeah. So I emailed a picture of it to my brother, and he cracked up, because my brother wrote the story. And he's like, yeah, you should totally get a high resolution scan of that and sell it as a print later when we're famous. So I was thinking maybe like we'll just isolate this frame, and I'll finish inking in the rest of it except for the cobblestones. I'll do that last, and then I'll do like lettering that says like Carpe Diem or something like that. So yeah, okay, I'll go further. Look at his left hand, in the story, he has a wound on his abdomen, so he's like kind of keeping pressure on the wound. When he stops to catch his breath, he looks at his hand, or he lifts his hand to check the wound. But with the unintentional phallic imagery, that takes on a completely different context. So I thought the Carpe Diem thing was pretty funny. My brother thinks we'll get sued, so we'll see. Anyways, that is everything I have. So tomorrow I'll be doing more inking on this non-phallic panel right here, and y'all have a good day. So keep reading comics, making comics, and buying comics, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.